welcome to the November 21st, 2023 City of Oshkosh Plan Commission meeting. We are glad you can join us. I do see we have a quorum. I have a few housekeeping items to go over before we begin. Please turn off or silence all of your personal communication devices. The applicant and members of the public may speak to any item before the Plan Commission when the relevant item to which you wish to speak is called and public comment is opened. And unless an exception is made by the Plan Commission, the following rules will apply. The applicant will be given up to 10 minutes to present any information that they wish the Plan Commission to consider. Thereafter, members of the public will be given up to 5 minutes to address the specific item before the Plan Commission for consideration. Members of the public may only speak once per called agenda item unless a Plan Commission member requires clarification or wishes to ask you a question. Questions or statements from the audience will not be considered. Only statements from the podium after your stated name and address and within the allowed time constraints are taken into consideration. After all community members have had an opportunity to speak on the called agenda item, the applicant will be asked if they have a final statement for the Plan Commission, and then the Commission will take action on that agenda item. The Common Council has adopted rules of decorum for city boards and commissions, including the adoption of a civility pledge. No person shall personally attack a board or commission member, city official, staff, or any other person. No person shall make irrelevant, unduly repetitive, offensive, threatening, slanderous, defamatory, or obscene remarks or act in such a manner as to disrupt or disturb the orderly conduct of the meeting, including hand clapping, stomping of feet, whistling, shouting, or other demonstrations. I thank you for your understanding. I'm going to run a tight meeting tonight. Now on to the agenda. Roll call, please.
Ms. Davy?
Here.
Councilmember Esslinger?
Here.
Ms. Prop?
Here.
Ms. Shireman?
Here.
Mr. Lowenstein? Mr. Nichols? Mr. Bowen?
Here.
Mr. Coulibaly?
Here.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Here.
Chairman Perry?
Here.
8 members present.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the November 7th, 2023 minutes. Plan Commission.
Move to accept as written.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on the minutes? Okay, I'm seeing none. We can have a voice vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Okay, the minutes pass. Thank you. Item 1A, it's a public hearing. It's a zone change from Suburban Mixed Use District, SMU, to Institutional District I for the property located at 505 North Westfield Street. Michael McClone is the owner. United Church of God, Oshkosh is the applicant. Have there been any site inspections by the Plan Commission? Okay, we have those. I will accept the staff report as part of the record. Please present your summary.
Mr. Chairman, would you like us to present on 1A and 1B together, the two portions of the same project?
I would like that greatly, so let me call 1B as well.
Thank
It's
you.
a public hearing, conditional use permit for an institutional use church at 505 North Westfield Street. Michael McCone is the owner. The United Church of God is, Oshkosh is the applicant. The site visits are the same.
We will do separate votes after the item, but at least we'll get the presentation out of the way.
I'm going to accept both staff reports as part of the record. Present your summary, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The applicant is requesting a zone change for the existing suburban mixed use to an institutional for the property located at 505 North Westfield Street. The subject site consists of a single lot with a total of 0.6 acres located at the southwest corner of Taft Avenue and North Westfield Street. The site includes a 4,104 square foot office building and an associated parking area that was previously used as an office for an insurance agent. The surrounding area consists of multifamily uses to the north, south, and west, and institutional uses to the east. The applicant approached the city about utilizing the existing building on the subject site for a church. The proposal was brought to a Plan Commission workshop on March 21st, 2023, and Plan Commission was supportive of that proposal. A neighborhood meeting was then held on August 2nd with no neighbors in attendance. On September 19th, Plan Commission reviewed and Common Council subsequently approved a land use map amendment from light density residential to community facility on November 14th. This request is intended to provide appropriate zoning for the future indoor institutional use of the property. The proposed zoning is consistent with the 2040 Comprehensive Land Use Plan recommendation of community facility for the subject site. The proposed rezone will be consistent with the land uses to the east, and for this reason, staff is supportive of the proposed rezoning of the subject site. And staff recommends approval of the zone change with the findings listed above. And now we will review the request for a conditional use permit of the site to convert the existing office to a church. According to the applicant, the building footprint will remain as existing and is sufficient for their proposed use. No additional structures are planned at this time. Staff is supportive of the conditional use permit for the indoor institutional use, as the conversion of the site to a church should not have an adverse impact on the neighboring properties due to the relatively small scale of the use, with up to 3 employees present Monday through Friday, along with 4 or less visitors occasionally each weekday. Sunday mornings will have approximately 30 people, as well as 1 to 2 staff people present. According to the applicant, the church will generally have office hours from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., which was similar to the insurance office. The proposed use is also compatible with the surrounding land uses. The existing parking area provides a total of 17 parking stalls, which will also be a sufficient amount of number for the expected employees and visitors. The Inspections Services Department has noted that plans are required to be submitted to show the layout of the building and the room sizes for a review to determine if the space would have the capacity to hold less than 50 people and the building use could remain the same. A building permit may be required if modifications are needed. Staff recommends approval of the proposed conditional use permit for an indoor institutional use at 505 North Westfield Street with the findings listed above.
Thank you for your report. Plan Commission, are there any technical questions to staff? And this can be at either 1A or 1B. Any technical questions? Mr. Coulibaly.
Is the parking confined to the resident parking, or does it include street parking?
Per the code, there is sufficient on-street parking based on the expected occupancy. Excuse me, on-site parking based on the expected occupancy.
Any other technical questions on 1A or 1B? Okay, I'm seeing none. Since this is a public hearing, I will open the public hearing and request a statement from the applicant. Is the applicant here tonight? Yes. If you could approach the podium up here and state your name and address for the record, I'd appreciate that, please.
Name is Michael Konjerski. You want me to spell that?
She says yes.
Kinjerski. Welcome. Address 6616 Wooden Shoe Road, Neenah, Wisconsin, 54956.
Thank you.
Welcome. Are there any questions for me?
You're the applicant, so do you have a statement?
We believe it would be a good fit for our church. As stated, our general membership is between 30, 35. There's ample on-site parking in the lot. We look forward to being a productive member of the community.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome, and thank you.
Is there any other member of the public that wishes to comment on this agenda item? Any member of the public that wishes to comment on this agenda item? Having seen none, I'm going to close the public hearing. We don't need a closing statement from the applicant, so Plan Commission, the Action is on you.
Motion to adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any Plan Commission discussion on this motion? Okay, I'm seeing none, so let's have a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Councilmember Esslinger?
Aye.
Ms. Prop?
Aye.
Ms. Shireman?
Aye.
Mr. Bowen?
Aye.
Mr. Kulabali?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
And Chairman Perry.
Aye. So now for 1B, we need a motion.
Motion to adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, I'm seeing none, so roll call vote, please.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Councilmember Esslinger?
Aye.
Ms. Prop?
Aye.
Ms. Shireman?
Aye.
Mr. Bowen?
Aye.
Mr. Kulabali?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
And Chairman Perry.
Aye.
Both motions carried 8-0.
Thank you. Item number 2 is a specific implementation plan amendment for a building addition at 3792 Jackson Street. SACL Enterprises the owner, Richard Fisher, and Fisher and Associates is the applicant. Have there been any site inspections? See, Mr. Bowen, Ms. Prop? Okay. I'm going to accept the staff report as part of the record. Please present your summary.
Thank you, Chairman. So the applicant requests approval of a specific implementation plan amendment for a building addition at 3792 Jackson Street. The subject site consists of a almost 1.5 acre property or parcel located on the east side of Jackson Street, just north of West Snell Road. The property is zoned suburban mixed use with a planned development overlay and contains the Stay and Play Pet House. The surrounding area consists of vacant land to the north and southwest, some residential uses to the east, and a gas station to the south and west. The 2040 comprehensive plan recommends general commercial land uses for the subject property. On November 14th of 2017, the Common Council approved a conditional use permit and plan development to allow for a dog daycare with overnight boarding at the subject property. The applicant is requesting thank you, Kelly. The applicant is requesting an amendment to the existing SIP to allow for a 5,520 square foot building addition and an additional fenced-in outdoor play area. The image is just an aerial here to give you an idea of what the site looks like today. And here's the site plan to show where that building addition is located, along with the additional proposed dog run to the south. A neighborhood meeting was held on September 14th, and no neighbors were in attendance. So as stated, the building addition is off the east side of the existing building and extends to the south. Again, it's shown up there kind of in the darker gray area. An accurate photometric lighting plan was not submitted with the request. However, it does show that new building wall lights are being added as part of the addition, so a code-compliant photometric plan will be needed as part of final site plan review. Building foundation and yardscaping was required with this building addition, and according to the plans that were submitted, they are meeting the point requirements for each of those. The Department of Public Works did have a comment that the new plan potentially has some stormwater deficiencies, and the deficiencies potentially are severe enough that it might impact the overall site layout. If during site plan review it's determined that this layout needs to be changed for some reason, they will have to come back through this process to amend their site plan. So getting into the building elevations here, the city does have exterior design standards for commercial uses, and the applicant provided the following elevation views. So up there right now we have the proposed the west and north elevation. So the existing north and south exterior sides of the building consist primarily of painted corrugated metal, which is now a prohibited material. And the west exterior has some stone and vinyl siding. And the applicant is not making any changes to any of the existing sides. The exterior of the proposed addition will be constructed with a combination of glazing, brick, and vinyl siding. And as proposed, the new addition does meet the Class 1 materials that require 50% Class 1 materials, and they're proposing stone or brick and windows. It should be noted on the east elevation, the code does require that any facade that has more than 70 feet without any articulation, that there needs to be some articulation present. So again, the applicant will need to make an adjustment to this facade to meet that standard. So those final elevation drawings can be reviewed again at site plan review. So with that, staff recommends approval of the SIP amendment as proposed with the findings listed above and the following conditions. Again, as stated, a code-compliant photometric plan shall be submitted, and that east facade does present some articulation within that 70-foot area.
Okay, thank you for your report. Plan Commission, any technical questions to the staff? Ms. Shireman?
I'm curious about the stormwater management, why, with the revision, like is that not something that you look at the first time around?
So there was a variance provided in 2017, is my understanding.
Yep.
Justin, maybe you can enlighten us a little bit.
Mine is more about the timing. So when this, like the first, we looked at it, well, we didn't look at it. When it first came out to us, there wasn't any mention of it, but then there's now a mention of it. So was it just missed or?
So that's on our side, not his. We thought everything was done and ready to go when we sent the staff out. We missed a note from them that needed to be updated, which is why you got it very quickly after.
No problem.
Yep.
No problem. I just was more, that's fine. Thank you.
Any other technical questions from Plan Commission? Mr. Bowen?
Just so Justin didn't waste his walk up, do you want to share with us a little bit and I believe I was part of Plan Commission in 17 when we approved this, but I don't remember the specifics of the variance that was granted. Can you give us just a quick minute overview of what the variance was granted and how this may wind up impacting the site, I guess? Just so we
Sure.
can understand
So,
it.
going off of a pretty good memory here, because I was not involved with this project originally, and I'm trying to work through this. So, the original variance that was granted would have not come through Plan Commission. The Board of Public Works was able to grant that variance after the Plan Commission process. And basically, there was, I think, 3 different conditions on that variance based on the site's original impervious disturbance, what they were doing for the original construction, and then some storage that they were going to provide in some of the play areas, which is going to be pea gravel. So under the proposed plan, it is our opinion that those variances now go away and the site has to be brought into compliance.
Gotcha.
Any other?
Might they be able to, some of those creative ways that we were able to solve those problems back in 2017, are they potentially going to be able to employ those same mechanisms with this plan if it's found to be not in compliance that might help make their site plan as proposed work, do you think?
I think just like we did back in 2017, we're willing to work with the applicant and the owner to try to get this to work.
Okay.
But at this time, we just don't have anything that's we're able to approve.
You don't have enough detail to really understand that,
Correct.
so you're just putting it out. Okay, makes sense, thank you. Just didn't want you to waste your walk.
No worries.
Any other technical questions? Okay, I'm seeing none. So this is a public hearing. I'm sorry, it's just a specific implementation plan, but I do allow public comment. So I'm going to have a public comment period, request a statement from the applicant. Is the applicant here? You could approach the podium and state your name and address for records, please.
Good afternoon. I'm Rick Fisher with Fisher & Associates Architects, and my address is W13654 Balsam Lake Road in Crivets. I'm the architect for the project, and I was not part of the original design of the building, and I know that as I toured the building, it was fairly tight and things were, it was an existing building that was converted into the dog daycare space. And now with this expansion, it really organizes the facility into a modern facility that makes it better for the staff and all the people that, or all the animals that come to visit. The primary things that they're going to be adding is an indoor play area that they currently don't have. So if it's inclement weather or something, there'll be a large indoor play space that's at the far south end of the building, and that has access to all three of the play areas. About half of the original play area is going to be maintained, and then the new space is going to be divided into two separate areas. So that way they can, group different dogs together and have different activities and things. That's one of their big advantages. They're also going to add a new indoor overnight stay space. Currently, what they have is fairly small and tight, and they're going to have much larger kennel spaces and nice little cubbies for all the spaces and great spots for the employees and places to do all the food prep. They're also adding a cat, indoor cat space that they don't currently have. The existing building is going to get remodeled into primarily care. So they'll have space where they can do grooming and washing and things. So it's just going to make the entire facility function, at a much higher level. The capacity isn't substantially larger, just the spaces are bigger and, modern and organized. Are there any questions?
Thank you. So at this time, is there any other member of the public that wishes to comment on this agenda item? Any other member of the public that wishes to comment on this agenda item? Okay, I'm seeing none, so I'm going to close the public comment period. We don't need a closing statement from the applicant, so Commission, the action is on you.
Motion to adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? Any discussion on this motion? All right, I'm seeing none, so let's have a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Councilmember Esslinger?
Aye.
Ms. Pratt?
Aye.
Ms. Shireman?
Aye.
Mr. Bowen?
Aye.
Mr. Kulabali?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
And Chairman Perry.
Aye.
Motion carried 8-0.
And item number 3 on the agenda is a public hearing. It's a zone change from urban mixed-use district with a riverfront overlay, UMU RFO, to an urban mixed-use district with riverfront and planned development overlays, UMU RFO and PD, and an approval of a general development plan and specific implementation plan for a personal storage facility use at 627 Bayshore Drive. 627 Bayshore Drive LLC is the owner. Design House Architecture is the applicant. Have there been any site inspections? Got them. All right, I will accept the staff report as part of the record. Please present your summary.
Thank you. So the subject site is located at the southwest corner of Bayshore Drive and Mill Street. The site has a two-story building on the north side of the site that is currently used as a multi-tenant office space as well as a recording studio. The site also includes a second smaller office building on the south side of the site. A proposal for an indoor storage use was brought to a Plan Commission workshop on October 3rd of this year. Plan Commission was generally supportive of the proposal. However, they did question the long-term viability of an industrial use in the area. They also raised concerns related to the aesthetics of the existing site and would need to see building facade and landscaping improvements as part of the plan development request. The applicant is requesting a zone change from the existing urban mixed-use district with a riverfront overlay to urban mixed-use district with a riverfront and plan development overlay, and that plan development overlay is intended to allow for flexibility to the zoning ordinance to accommodate a new use in the property. Staff is supportive of the proposed rezone as it will provide opportunity for an additional use on the existing underutilized property. It may also serve to accommodate future improvements to the site and help address site design difficulties due to having two street frontages and a waterfront. So here's the proposed site plan. They're proposing to convert about 30,000 square feet of the north building to climate-controlled personal storage, with about 10,000 square feet of the southern portion of that building to remain office space. They are requesting a base standard modification to allow the storage use, as personal storage facility uses are not permitted in the UMU district. Staff is supportive of the proposed use, but feels that the best long-term use of the site is for commercial, residential, or mixed use. However, due to the current site conditions and the marketability of the site, personal storage facility is an appropriate use for the existing building, and it will allow for opportunity to enhance the appearance of the site. No changes are being proposed to the site layout, with the exception of a new refuse enclosure being proposed to the west of the building on the existing parking lot. That will have a 5-foot setback from the west property line and will be constructed of a masonry exterior. There will be a reduction of 4 parking stalls on the existing parking lot. The site will have a total of 76 parking spaces, which will meet parking needs for the site. The applicant has noted that the existing overgrown invasive growth along Bayshore Drive abutting the building will be removed and replaced with new landscaping, resulting in a total of 108 landscaping points. The landscaping appears to be in the Bayshore Drive public right-of-way terrace area. Any landscaping placed in the public right-of-way will need to be approved by the city forester and public works. Here are the building facades. The building will be given a fresh coat of paint, and any needed masonry repairs will be made. A new row of cultured stone will be added to the base of the building along the Bayshore Drive elevation, and failed or damaged windows will be replaced. Also, new architectural metal panels will be added to the east, south, and west elevations to give it an updated look. So here is the existing building. And staff feels that the replacement of the existing stone with new stone on the front of the building, along with the new architectural metal panels, will enhance the appearance of the building, and the new materials will serve to offset the requested BSM for the use. Overall, the applicant has provided new landscaping and updated the building materials, and staff is comfortable that these site enhancements sufficiently offset the requested BSM, and the overall site is being improved. And with that, staff recommends approval of the rezone and GDP and SIP with the findings and conditions in your staff report.
All right, thank you for your report. Plan Commission, any technical questions for the staff?
I'm not sure if mine is technical.
Ms. Sherman.
76 parking spots for a location that's public storage seems like a lot. My question is, if going forward they wanted to add on to that and not have so much parking, does that come before us? Is there?
Yeah, now that the plan development is put in place, any future site modifications would have to come back through. The 77 is largely what's there today.
Right.
Designed to accommodate the 2 office uses. Plus, it is probably higher than they will likely need.
Right, for indoor storage, okay. But I was just curious if they wanted to build on more at some point, not up, but out.
Yeah, they would have to come back through this body and council.
Okay, thank you.
Any other technical questions to staff? Okay, I'm seeing none, so this is a public hearing, and I will open the public hearing now and ask for a statement from the applicant. Is the applicant here tonight? Approach the podium and state your name and address for our records, please.
Madeline Dumke, 1340 Cambridge Ave, 54901, 54902.
So do you have a statement for us?
Yes. We purchased 627 Bayshore Drive roughly a year ago. Our intent was to move into the small office building along the river. We are in the process of remodeling that right now, and we're going to relocate there. Once we purchased the building, we realized the despair that the larger building was in. And our main tenant left and stopped paying rent, so we're kind of left in a limbo right now of what to do. We looked at residential. It didn't pencil out, especially with the current climate. Maybe that's a possibility down the road when building costs go down and the neighborhood surrounding the area improves. We also have the building for lease. We've received no interest from anyone. So this is our idea of how to beautify the property, make it work. We have found no other solution, so this is our best attempt to improve the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Yep.
Is there any other member of the public that wishes to speak at this time on this agenda item? Any member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item? Okay, I'm seeing none, so I'm going to close the public hearing. We don't need a closing statement. Thank you.
Thank you.
Plan Commission, action is upon you.
Move to adopt funding recommendation as stated in the staff report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion on this motion? Any discussion on this motion? All right, I'm seeing none, so let's have a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Councilmember Esslinger?
Aye.
Ms. Prompt?
Aye.
Ms. Shireman?
Aye.
Mr. Bowen?
Aye.
Mr. Kulabali?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
And Chairman Perry.
Aye.
Motion carried 8-0.
Okay, item number 4 on the agenda is a specific implementation plan for a mixed multifamily residential and commercial development at 0 West 20th Avenue. Castle Rock Land Company LLC is the owner, Chet Wiesenberg is the architect and the applicant. Have there been any site inspections? Okay. I also need to report that one member of that area has approached me and mentioned a positive comment to me. I will accept the staff report as part of the record. Please present your summary.
Thank you. The subject site is a 17-acre vacant lot on the north side of West 20th Avenue. On February 28th of this year, a zone change was approved to add a planned development overlay along with a general development plan for a mixed multifamily residential and commercial development. The GDP approval included a base standard modification to allow indoor sales and drive-through sales. The proposed development will include 10 16-unit and 6 8-unit apartment buildings, along with a clubhouse which will have a drive-through coffee shop. The proposed 208 units is consistent with the approved GDP and meets density requirements for the MR12 zoning district. The applicant will be providing 286 surface parking stalls and 212 garage parking stalls to meet parking requirements. Code requires a recreation area for multifamily developments. The proposed site plan indicates 3 outdoor recreation areas at the north and west areas of the site for a total of about 9,000 square feet to meet this requirement. The provided elevations for the clubhouse drive-through coffee shop include conceptual wall signage on the north and south elevations. The signs will be limited to a maximum of 25 square feet per facade per multifamily district sign standards. Here's the landscaping plan. It is meeting building and foundation landscaping requirements for all apartment buildings as well as the clubhouse. Code also requires street facing and main entrance landscaping points. It is being met for all buildings with the exception of the main entrance on the north side of the clubhouse and coffee shop building, and staff is supportive of a BSM to allow the reduction to 57 points where code requires 79 points along that facade, as the applicant has exceeded the overall building foundation requirement. The landscaping requirement for paved areas is being met. For street frontage, the applicant is requesting a BSM to allow reduced street frontage landscaping, as the allowable area to place the street frontage landscaping is minimized by the vision clearance triangle at the driveway entrances, as well as a water main running along the front of the property. Staff is supportive of a BSM to allow the proposed point reduction to 765 points, where code requires 808 points due to that limited available area. Staff is also supportive of a BSM to allow the street frontage landscaping to be placed further than 10 feet from the right-of-way line, as is needed to accommodate the water main easement. The plan exceeds the yard landscaping point requirement, and that helps to serve to offset the base standard modifications being requested. A .2 opacity buffer yard is required along the neighboring single-family residentially zoned properties to the east and west of the site. The applicant is providing a 25-foot wide buffer yard along with both of these property lines, along with medium and tall evergreen tree plantings to meet the buffer yard requirement along both property lines. Here are the building facades. The buildings will be constructed primarily of brick and will also include composite siding around the window and door areas. The applicant is requesting a BSM to allow the primary building entrances for the apartment buildings to be on the back north facade of the building rather than the street-facing facade, which is required by code. Staff is supportive of this BSM request as the buildings are oriented toward the centralized parking area on the site. The applicant has offset the requested BSM by increasing the window area on those street-facing facades. And also, the buildings are constructed primarily of Class 1 materials, being brick and glass, to provide an attractive appearance. Here are the clubhouse and drive-through elevations. As it includes a commercial use, commercial design standards will apply. The applicant is requesting a BSM to allow reduced Class 1 materials on the south facade to 45.2%, where code requires 50% Class 1 materials on all facades. Staff does not have concerns with this slight reduction, as the large proportion of glass on that facade, along with brick and composite siding, provides an attractive appearance, and the applicant has exceeded the overall Class 1 material requirement for the overall building to offset that request. And with that, staff recommends approval of the SIP with the findings and conditions in your staff report.
Okay, thank you for your report. Before we ask for technical questions, I'd like Mr. Lyons to make a brief comment about what we're considering with this agenda item.
Yeah, so today, and this is a SIP or a specific implementation plan request. Just a reminder to Plan Commission, what you're doing here is you're evaluating that plan against the already approved base land use during the GDP. The SIP is not here to discuss whether apartments are the appropriate land use, whether the coffee shop is appropriate. Those have already been approved by council during the GDP. So really, we're here evaluating if the final plans, the landscaping, the lighting, the things they've outlined in those are appropriate and are they consistent with that GDP that was approved.
Thank you, Mr. Lyons. So, Plan Commission, any technical questions for the staff? Mr. Bowen.
On that south elevation for the coffee shop building, and this is just because when we get these, even as a PDF, I can't zoom in enough to see types of materials, classifications of materials, all that sort of stuff. That south elevation, which, I don't know if you can bring that back up on the screen or not, where is that deficient? What materials, so it's 45% versus 50%.
Yep.
Where is that deficient? Because it actually looked pretty good to me. So just on a gut, it would tell me that was okay. I guess, yeah. So that's the top right hand, as I'm looking at it, top right.
Yeah, it looks like that's the result of, yeah, it's the top right hand. It's kind of the result of that area of the facade, the upper area where that sign is. That's all that composite material. So but the ground level, I think, would exceed that 50%, but you add that signage area component, and that's composite.
Sorry, I was looking at that more as a roof. I didn't realize that was okay.
It's the end wall of the
Yep.
peak.
Got it. Thank you.
Great question. Any other technical questions for staff from the Plan Commission? Mr. Kiefer.
Will there be trail connections to the Rouge Park trail system in here? I see some, what looks like trails in the drawing, but.
Correct. Right now, there are, I believe, 2 planned connections on the north side of the site into the Rouge system.
And I know there was some mention, correspondence that we had about the parking study that wasn't put forward by the council, and it's a technical question, or maybe it's an opinion later on, but it's going to be a lot of extra traffic in a really bad area with Traeger Middle and Elementary School. I'm just wondering why that was not done, and in what our plans when we have, there's 209 dwelling units. It could be 300-400 cars coming and going at the same time that a youth basketball game gets done at 5 o'clock or 5:30, or anything else happening at that time of the day. It's going to be a mess, bigger mess than it already is, and just wondering why that wasn't done, and
Yeah, so ultimately, council chose to remove the request for the TIA. So that is the way the project moved forward without that. I'm getting some comments from the audience. Can you guys make sure you please speak into the mics as well, make sure everything gets picked up? But yeah, ultimately, council chose to remove that condition, so we did not have a way to enforce it as the project moved forward.
Any other technical questions for staff? Okay, I'm seeing none. I do allow public comment on most agenda items, and I will on this one. However, I would like to state that we will be timing and keeping this pretty tight. I'm going to open the public comment period and request a statement from the applicant. Is the applicant here tonight?
Corey Wallace with Wiesenberg Architects, 240 Algoma Boulevard, Oshkosh. I don't really have anything further to add other than what went through with the GDP. In my mind, it's consistent with what we submitted in the GDP. I'm here to answer questions, address concerns, but I can do that at the closing when I'm aware of more questions.
Okay, thank you. All right, before I ask the public to comment, if you would be able to approach the podium and line up in a single file line to make it go a little bit quicker and more efficiently, I'd appreciate that. So at this time, is there any member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item?
When you do speak, we ask, can you speak into the mic just to make sure everyone in the audience can hear you?
And state your name and address for our records, please. Thank you.
Yes, Raymond Carver, 1914 Preserve Drive, Oshkosh, 54904. I'm the president of the Sawyer Creek Preserve at Sawyer Creek Condo Association. The whole community already has a large concern about the water drainage issues. We are to the west of the property, and we already have an underground water drainage system that goes to an in-ground sump pump that was installed by the builder, same builder that's on this project. And we already have a north pond that wasn't designed to be a pond that is retaining large amounts of water. And being on that north side of that pond, or on the north side of the, or west side of this property, we're gonna get additional drainage. They are planning to try to force this water to the east, but we are concerned about the elevation of the property and where the water is gonna come towards us already. The items at the preserve weren't finished by this builder yet. We already have water issues at individual homes, sump pumps going out, the north pond overflowing at this point, damaging trees and surrounding trees, and we feel it's going to exacerbate the situation even more for us. There's a swell that's proposed that'll go that way, but that water is already building up on these corners of our property. We also have concerns about the landscaping between the properties to the west, to limit automobile, garage, and unit lightings and noise. Chez talked about tree landscape on both sides of the west swell on our property area and his property area, which the plan doesn't show any trees on our side to help with noise and water and lights. We're requesting additional consideration of landscaping to help limit the noise as part of this project, and talked about trees and landscaping on our side. Even possibly moving where the buildings are. At one time it was talked about having garages on that west side to help limit some of the noise and some of the car lights and everything else and put the buildings farther back. We'd like to see that as a consideration too. And there's 2 playgrounds also on the west side. We're also requesting some additional consideration of moving those playgrounds possibly to the north side of the property back towards the Roost Trail area or somewhere else on there to help with the noise that's going to be right on that property line with our homeowners. They're very adjacent to what's going on there. That's it.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Any other member of the public wish to speak on this agenda item? Please state your name and address for our records, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Nancy Bongard at 3374 West 20th. I am the property just on the west lot line of the proposed development. When we were here in February, and many of you know this, I think there was a few of us neighbors that had a hard time catching up with what the whole process was and, what we were voting on, et cetera. I did go back to those minutes just to help myself kind of process some of this as far as where we're at now. And many of the comments were made in the minutes, for example, that there's an opportunity when developments like this unfold where the communities have neighborhood meetings and have a follow-up report from the meeting, some sort of middle ground between what the neighbors want and what the developer wants. We look back and there's probably a real missed opportunity, but we took those comments and we actually asked the developer for a meeting. A few of us neighbors got together, and the meeting went well. It was okay. We didn't get a lot of answers to our questions, but there was meant to be some follow-up. The developer stated that they would definitely send us a new revised plan. The people at the planning committee certainly know that I have a 2-week calendar call, so I've been calling consistently myself every 2 weeks to see if the plan had been proposed yet. So finally, here we are at this point. So to get through this quickly, I think that we have opportunities. We understand the development. It's just along the same lines as what was just mentioned. The landscaping upgrades possibly, drainage, any improvements to mitigate the noise and lighting issues. Traffic is always a concern of ours as well. That movement of the playground and, any additional buffers such as fencing. So the drainage, and I might not totally understand, and we've certainly talked about this, but when I look at the elevation and the grading that has to take place towards the west lot line, and then the fact that there's going to be spruce trees planted somewhat sparingly and somewhat offset, I don't understand how you can have that gradage and have successful evergreens, spruces, planted in that area. Even in a conversation I had with Travis Dirks of your Parks Department, spruce need specific drainage. It's just that easy. So I'm having a hard time understanding how that's going to work in that kind of proposed swale. At one point, Chet had come and asked for an easement on our west side properties to grade down to a swale. That has not been brought up again, so it's assumed that, of course, he's going to handle all that drainage himself. I do understand, thanks to Mark and others, that there is an inlet to take some of that water away, but for those of us that live out there, there's a water problem. There really is, okay? The layout on lighting. So the first apartment building and then the adjacent parking stalls and garage is perpendicular to the lot line. When the new residents, our new neighbors, turn down that area to park or go into their garage, their lights are going to be shining in the back third of my lot, along with all of our wonderful neighbors at the preserves. There's really nothing to buffer that at the end. So I would just ask for consideration. We're trying to be good neighbors. We would like just a little bit of a say in, how this all comes together, and we don't think that's unreasonable. I'm not sure that a tree will fix that problem, maybe a fence. I don't know that a fence, is even on the table. We don't want to ask for anything unreasonable, but I want to have a fire pit in my backyard, and I don't want to have lights shining in every time a car comes down there, okay? Yes?
You have 1 minute.
Okay. So I think the other thing that I just wanted to say is we appreciate any consideration on the playgrounds, just any movement to have this just more palatable. Because again, we want to be good neighbors. I think we missed an opportunity, but let's see what we can do now at this point to make it a good neighborhood and a good fit for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. Please approach the podium and state your name and address for our records, please.
Sean Lynch, and I live at 2318 Short Preserve Drive in Oshkosh, 54904. Mr. Kiefer mentioned it, she mentioned it as well about the traffic and Traeger Middle School. Something else that maybe wasn't mentioned is also 20th Street Y is also right there and almost practically adjacent to, from what the was shown on the map there. So as a member of the Y and recognizing of all the different events that go on there, especially with the hockey complex and the aquatic facility there. Sometimes that parking lot is so full as it is. So just that part of things happening at the middle school, things happening at the Y, the biggest consideration, I would say, and just that I would hope that would be recognized, is just the impact of traffic on 20th Street. Already in that part, it's very, very dimly lit. When you're pulling out of the Y, sometimes it's hard. Traffic is moving so fast coming from that west side, outside of town, coming into the city of Oshkosh, and just that impact of 100 to 150 new cars with that traffic there. That's just what I would like to bring up.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item? Any other member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item? And I'm seeing none, so I'm going to close the public comment period. I'm going to ask for a closing statement from the applicant. You care to make a statement?
I think it's in everybody's best interest to have a working relationship and try to make. Okay. Sorry about that. I think it's in the developer's best interest to work with the neighbors as well and to address some of these concerns. And I know that Chet is more than willing to add the trees. I've heard him say that himself on the preserve end of the site. It doesn't show up on here because we're not trying to approve anything for the preserve. We're trying to approve and get reviewed for this site. So those things don't show up, but he is more than willing to add trees to help with the noise and the buffer and the lighting and just the overall buffer between the two sites. As far as the headlights from the parking lot, we plan on shifting some of those. That is why there are conifer trees as opposed to deciduous trees along the site. We'll review with the landscaper more about whether or not the environment is conducive for some of those conifers and change some of the species if we need to. That swale that shows up on that site is not thought to be holding water. It is just a sloped grass that is designed to shed water. The water is going to the north and not into the pond from the preserve, so I don't think it's going to contribute to whatever the issues are there right now. But yes, we think it's in the best interest to work and try to smoothen some of these issues out to make some compromises and make it work better for everybody.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you. Okay, we've had our closing statement, so Plan Commission, the action is upon you.
Motion to adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any commission discussion on this motion? Ms. Prop.
Mark, is there a way through the staff review for the developer to bring in some changes to the landscaping plan, the lighting plan, perhaps even drainage, if we approve what's here now?
Yeah, so drainage will separate from the other two. Drainage is a separate ordinance that Public Work addresses. You have to meet the drainage ordinance. You can't not. Justin, I know, has had some conversations already with some of the neighbors trying to find out some of the issues that are going on out there, both on the preserve site as well as some of the questions related to this site. So there will be that strict review, making sure storm management plans are met, adhered to, followed up on, and that kind of ongoing maintenance that they work. So that is really on, the public works staff to make sure that if this development goes forward, it meets the city ordinances and it continues to meet those requirements as it moves forward. Landscape lighting, I heard some stuff about the playground area. I think those are all things that we can address through site plan review. We have kind of one condition at the end of the SIP for you, that final landscape plans, lighting, and signage will be reviewed as approved by the Department of Community Development. If there are specific elements you want to see, so say you say move that west playground somewhere else on the site, or you want to see certain areas have landscape moved, I would like you to articulate that so we make sure we follow through on your wishes. I think I understand what the neighbors are going for, so I think we can help address it with the condition we're going to have. But there are specific things you'd like to see. I'd like to see you add them as a condition. That way we make sure we follow through with your wishes.
Ms. Davy?
I don't think we should penalize the developer for the council's decision to forego the traffic study, but I'm really uncomfortable with the lack of info that we have on the potential traffic impact. And I'm wondering, Mark, if we have any recourse for that at all.
So this body can add conditions. If you wanted to add it back in as a condition, you could. But I mean, that would ultimately, again, as a recommending body only, this will go to council for their final decisions.
Do we have any idea why council chose to forego that?
I have no idea.
I don't believe it was in council.
That would have been before.
Him.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, any other discussion on this motion? Ms. Shireman?
So I want to make sure I'm clear. So we don't need to say no to it if we have comments around point number 6.
Yeah, I would prefer, if there's things you want to articulate, please do so. Even add them as another condition. You know, I want X, Y, and Z. We can get that added in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. So you and your staff, you've been taking notes and so it's like a good faith here. Like,
Yep. And we've actually met with the neighbors to understand exactly what they're going for.
mhm.
Any other, Mr. Bowen?
This is a site plan question, again, just kind of based on some of this being a little small. Maybe my eyes are just bad because I can't read anything in the staff reports lately. I see one play area to the north of the of a 16-unit building, sort of in the southwest corner of the site. It was mentioned that there are 2 play areas, I believe.
There are
on the
2.
west.
They're up on the screen right now. There's one at the very northwest corner of the site.
Is that where there's a loop?
That little loop you see? Yep.
Okay.
And then there is one kind of middle of the left side of the site
Okay,
as well.
and I think on that other site plan, I think that one of those is labeled as a play area, but the northwest one isn't labeled as a play area.
They are both part of the recreational space requirement.
I guess my question would be, is that northwestern one, is that more of like just sort of a passive, a play area is a play area. A recreational area can be, grass. I guess, is there something that you have informationally that like can help me understand what the difference is between those two?
Brian, was there anything in the narrative that specifically called what they were going to be putting in those? So the code requires passive space is sufficient. You have to have sufficient recreational space opportunity. It does not necessarily articulate what you then, if you need
It's got to be a
program it.
slide, 3 swings, and a mirror.
It doesn't get into that.
Okay.
No, it really just called out where those areas are and the square footages of them, but did not specify what's going to be in that area.
Okay.
And I did have an opportunity after the staff report was issued to speak with Mr. Wiesenberg, who felt there's opportunities elsewhere on the site that if Plan Commission wanted to rearrange those, for example, just east of the main path going out of the north side of the site.
Yeah.
There's some green space there that potentially one of them could be moved. So he was open to shifting things around to help.
I think if you're looking for specific input as it relates to site plan concerns and potentially incorporating some of the commentary, I think my view here is that it looks to me like this is very sort of, the recreational space is loaded to the west.
Yep.
And there's really nothing available. So if you're in one of those easternmost buildings and you have a kid who needs to go out and burn off some energy, you're walking through a whole lot of parking field in order to get to the sort of the formal play area, recreational area, whatever it is. I think I'd like to see one of those potentially relocated or added to the eastern, or somewhere on that sort of eastern half of it, just to make it a little bit more, I know there's only so many, there's only so much area required. So you can't necessarily say, we gotta have this, you gotta have that in this area. They have a little bit of discretion as to that, but I think I'd like to see something on that eastern half, whether that's one of those move towards that eastern portion of it. I think that would be my, if you're looking for specific feedback, that would be my specific feedback.
I would ask if you could word that into a condition, even if you say something along the lines of one of the play areas currently located along the western portion of the site relocated to the eastern half of the site.
And would you like that as a formal motion
I would.
or an amendment offered?
An amendment to add
That
that
is
as
not my
condition
strong
7.
suit. Robert's rules are not my strong suit, so I'll do what I can once we get there. No.
Sure.
Thank you.
Mr. Kiefer.
And just on the follow-up on those play areas, are those in lieu of like park, is that like the park area kind of thing? Or is
Nope,
there-
so
was there
separate from that, the code has internal within the site requirements of making sure you have space for people to go burn off energy, or I don't know if this is a pet-friendly development or not, but if they do space to take your pet. So beyond parkland issues, there is also a recreational green space, open space requirement built within the code for multifamily development that provides opportunities on site for recreational activities.
So I'm assuming then there is a payment in lieu of going for this project?
As this is existing parcel, our current parkland fee structure does not apply to this site at all. That is something that the city is working on with a consultant to evaluate. You'll be bringing back to you in future about our parkland fees, but this site would not be required as its existing site.
And as we talked about children, was the school consulted and did they respond at all?
School is notified of the project. These type of developments with multifamily traditionally have a very low family component and typically have a very low percentage of school-aged children. So we've not heard anything from them, but they are made aware of it.
Any other questions, technical questions for the staff? So we have a motion, we have a second on the motion. We're discussing the motion. Any other discussion on that motion? Seeing none.
I'd like to offer an amendment.
Okay.
If I may, to direct staff in the, would it be part of the final landscape plan?
Yeah, add condition 7.
I'd like to add a condition 7 for staff to review the location of the existing recreational areas with the goal of providing a recreational space on the east half of the property as well.
I'll second.
Sure.
We have an amendment proposed. Ms. Prop has seconded the amendment. So we now vote on the amendment.
Vote to add the amendment, correct?
So so we're going to have a roll call vote.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Would it be appropriate to maybe bring the applicant up and ask if there's any issues with that?
If that is your request, we can do that.
Let's say.
Yeah, I apologize for missing that point in my closing comments because we have discussed that, and there is ample room on the west side to increase the recreational area there and diminish some of the areas on the east side.
The
So
other way.
that won't be a problem.
The other way.
The other way.
Okay.
East side.
Okay, thank you.
Diminish on the west.
Sure.
Got it.
But yeah, we're more, it's not a problem at all. It's probably something that, this is coming from me, we didn't discuss this, but it's probably something we should have caught originally with, there's better buffers to the east side.
West.
But we want to put more on the east side towards the school. where there's a buffer.
Right.
Right, okay. Sure. Okay. Anything else?
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so we have the amendment, we have it seconded. We're going to have a roll call vote
Yes.
on the amendment.
Correct.
So have a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Councilmember Esslinger?
Aye.
Ms. Prop,
Aye.
Ms. Shireman,
Aye.
Mr. Bowen,
Aye.
Mr. Kulabali,
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer,
Aye.
Chairman Perry.
Aye.
Amendment carried 8-0.
Okay, now we're going to have a roll call vote. I'm sorry, Ms. Davy.
If I wanted to make an additional amendment, would that be number 8?
It would be number 8.
I'm catching on here. I would like to make a motion that we have an additional condition number 8 that it says that some accommodation will be made for increased buffer between the Preserve Drive subdevelopment or whatever it is, and the new one. They're to help buffer both sound and particularly lights.
So Mark will paraphrase.
Well, I need more specifics than that. If you want more landscaping, I need you to articulate more landscaping. I want another 200 points of landscaping, whatever it is you want. If you want relocation of landscaping to more adequately buffer the end of the drive aisles, or if you want fencing added, to be a condition, it has to be something that
Very
we can
specific.
enforce and know what to follow through with.
Can I ask a question of the developer?
Yes, you may.
Sorry. You're so glad you came.
No, I appreciate the questions because, we want to do what we can.
So would it be, in your opinion, would it be better to request fence at the end of the drive aisles or to relocate landscaping so that it's more dense there?
In my opinion, I prefer the natural landscaping to build fences if it's a coniferous tree that works for blocking light during the winter time as well. There's been concern about the drainage pattern, and we double check that, make sure we get the right species of coniferous trees. Staff might be able to correct me on this, but right now there's no buffer yard requirements at all, and everything we show there is already.
There is a buffer yard requirement. It's a 0.2 opacity. Our buffer yard requirements can be met a multitude of ways. Setback, they're a combination of 3 factors: setback distance, amount of landscaping, and fencing. You are not necessarily required a fence. There is kind of a menu where you go through and there's multiple ways you can meet it. As shown, they presently meet it. The neighbors have kind of asked maybe to go a little bit more, and then maybe a little bit more in specific areas of concern. So that's where if Plan Commission would want to, again, you could add more. You could add more in specific areas, or you could just ask for it to be relocated to specific areas of concern. They're kind of all within your consideration.
I guess what I would want to say would be that we should add, that it should be relocated to be dense enough at the end of the drive aisles to appropriately block light. Is that specific enough? Anybody jump in here? Kelly? Did you get that or not?
So you just want it relocated
Yes.
with no additional beyond. So right now along the west property line, for example, they are proposing 658 points, which is what, they're proposing 788 points where 658 are required. You just want us to work through and make sure those 788 points are in areas to minimize impact of lighting, trespass on the neighboring property.
If I leave this as is and somebody seconds it, we can discuss it, right?
Correct.
Are you looking
gonna
at the
leave it as
southwest or
is.
southeast?
South-
I think you just noted
Hold
the
on.
numbers of southeast. You're looking at the southwest.
Excuse me, I did say the southeast. Southwest is 273 required, 292 proposed.
Okay, so does that answer your question or help you with your amendment?
I ended it with, yes, my amendment is to move it to the end of the drive aisles, what's there now. But I'm saying it should be discussed. If anybody wants to, second that
I'll
so that we
second
could
it for
discuss it.
discussion.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion and a
Thank you.
second, so let's have commission discussion on the motion. Ms. Shireman?
My concern is, I'm not comfortable to make that determination. Like, I think that city staff in working with the developer to determine that. So I'm not comfortable putting a whole bunch of amendments on here because it feels like we're fixing one thing to maybe open it up to something else, to open up to something else. Is there any sort of generic language that we can, or even not put it into an amendment, but leave you with? You heard the sentiment from the group. You can hear the sentiment from us, like we're uncomfortable with some of these things, but I'm not in a position to tell you how many points of landscaping that makes sense along that, you know, those corners of the development.
So this gets tricky. You can provide direction to us, and we can do our best to work between the neighbors and the applicant. But at the end of the day, we have no authority to require something at the end. If the applicant and the neighbors work back and forth, and then the applicant says, this is what I'm doing, and it meets the code requirements as outlined within your report, we can't stop it. That is where an additional condition then gives that authority for us to say, per the approved plan, it has to meet A, B, and C.
Got it.
You know, hearing from the developer, the neighbors, I think we all understand where they want it. And I don't see an issue moving it around. But at the end of the day, we have no enforcement ability without a condition.
Councilmember Essinger.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mark, I kind of look at this as we had a very similar issue with the development out on Oregon. And so we had the neighbors there and the developer, and we talked about 10-foot fences, 6-foot fences, 10-foot trees, 6-foot trees, berms, plants, bushes, everything.
Yep.
And I said at that time, I don't live there, so my opinion of what that should be probably means nothing to them, to the developer or the neighbors. Might I suggest, and I don't know how we do this, but a different plan be put together that is reviewed with the association president, so he has at least a chance to go to his association members and kind of more or less, I mean, this isn't, I don't think this is a big ticket item here that we're talking about, whether it be a fence or more vegetation. So have them kind of pick and choose what they want. I mean, this is their neighborhood, this is what they want, so.
To do so, I would think we would likely also want to ask the applicant to allow us to push it back on council, because this right now would be slated for council next week. Given the holiday, I don't want it, it'd be potentially difficult to get that in front of the neighbors and you know, have them look at it in such a short time frame. I think what you're asking is perfectly reasonable. I think we may want to say, hey, would they be okay then maybe with the 12/12 meeting, give us a little more time to work with them on a revision, get it over to the HOA president and go that route, just to make sure it's not in a time crunch of, you know, less than a week with a holiday in there.
Sir, does that sound reasonable to you?
Yeah, I don't think there's any major milestones where I mean, there's other things pushing the schedule right now besides this that we're not at that point yet. I guess, I'm wondering if technically you could approve it based on that one condition being worked out. Just for the comfort level of saying, hey, we got through this part of it.
Ultimately, that discretion will lie with council if they want to do it or not.
Right.
Well, so then the amendment would be to develop a plan that would be approved by the association president or board or whatever they want to do.
So we cannot grant the city's authority to a neighbor to approve or deny. They can provide input. We couldn't write a condition that the neighbor has to approve it.
Right.
We can have a condition that we work with the neighbors and bring it back, but ultimately that final approval has to land with council.
Okay, and Mr. Kulabali.
So Mark, the base of your question was to either rearrange the landscaping or add more points. I would suggest to add more points, not knowing what rearranging will mean in other areas, not to create another problem. It'd be safer to add more points, and since the developer is collaborating on that, just more expenses and to address the problem rather than displacing it and create a problem elsewhere.
So, evergreen plantings, which are typically what we would see for this type of land use, range in a point value of about 33 to 45 points per evergreen, whether it's an arborvitae or a spruce or something of that nature. There are essentially two main east-west drive aisles for the southwest building, one on the north side of the parking garage, one on the south side of the garage, that I think are the primary areas of concern. There's a little bit potentially maybe between two of the buildings that we could address as well, but there's not a ton of area here. We're talking, I think, a combination, from a staff perspective, if you wanted to throw a point value on it, 2 evergreens is 70 points. So you could say, add and relocate, add 70 points per and relocate, I think would be enough that we can work with them to make it work.
Go ahead, Mr.
No, just add and relocate, no, I would say. Adding essentially more points.
Adding a little bit and then giving us some flexibility to work with them to relocate, I think this is not a big area we're talking about.
Okay, other discussion on the motion?
I would be happy to make a change to, I don't know if that's a friendly amendment to my own amendment.
Amendment to your amendment.
Well, I think we could just withdraw the amendment because basically, am I correct?
Yeah, I would withdraw that and start fresh, just to make sure we're clean on the record.
Okay. How about we make number 8, make a motion for number 8 to say that we would like to add 70 additional points in the end of each drive aisle, which would be, you said there's 2 or 3?
There's 2 drive aisles and potentially a small area between 2 buildings.
Say 200 additional points? Anybody want to second that?
Second that.
Okay, so we've had a withdrawal of the original amendment, and now we have another amendment to say add 200 points at the choke points for,
For lighting, yes.
okay.
Well, whoever seconded it, I believe it was me, has to agree with that.
Right, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I believe it was, I'll second that.
Okay, so discussion on this motion, amendment. I'm seeing none, so let's have a roll call vote on this amendment.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Councilmember Esslinger?
Aye.
Ms. Prop?
Aye.
Ms. Shireman?
Aye.
Mr. Bowen?
Aye.
Mr. Kulabali?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
And Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Amendment carried 8-0.
Okay, so the amendment and the other amendment have carried, so now we need to have a discussion?
Yeah, so right now you have a motion on the floor as amended, so it's discussion, will you complete discussion?
Discussion on the amended motion on the floor.
One more vote.
Any discussion on the amended motion on the floor? I am seeing none, so let's have a roll call vote, please. The whole thing.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Councilmember Esslinger?
Aye.
Ms. Prop?
Aye.
Ms. Shireman?
Aye.
Mr. Bowen?
Aye.
Mr. Kulabali?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
No.
Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Motion carried 7-1.
Okay, before we go on to the next agenda, does the council wish a break, a 10-minute break for biological purposes?
Yes, please.
Yes, we will take it.
That would be lovely.
We will take a 10-minute break for
More water.
biological purposes.
We're all coughing. More
Please
water.
come back at
Okay, so
5:29
question right away.
so we can properly
In
begin.
here.
This local government meeting is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. This local government meeting is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. This local government meeting is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. This local government meeting is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. This local government meeting is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. This local government meeting is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. This local government meeting is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. This local government meeting is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. This local government meeting is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. This local government meeting is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. Please stay with us. Coverage will resume shortly. This local government meeting is currently in a break. For a schedule of all GovTV programming, visit our website at oshkoshmedia.org. This is GovTV, opening accessibility and understanding of local government, helping you to be informed and involved. Also streaming live and on demand at oshkoshmedia.org and radio simulcast on Oshkosh FM 101.9. Like us on Facebook at our Oshkosh Media page. For a schedule of all GovTV programming.
All right, welcome back from the recess. We're going to get going here. Item number 5 on the agenda is a specific implementation plan amendment for Phase 1 of a multifamily development at the West 3400 block of Lake Unimort Drive. Red Earth LLC is the owner. The City of Oshkosh Common Council is the applicant. Have there been any site inspections? Okay, thank you. I'm also going to report that I'm in the noticed area and received notice of this at my home. I've spoken to 6 residents in the area. 3 are in support and 3 are against this. I'm going to accept the staff report as part of the record. Please present your summary.
First, if I could once again ask, make sure you please speak into the microphone. In the back, it's a little hard to hear, so really make sure you please kind of lean forward talking to those mics during the meeting. A couple of items that I wanted to discuss first before Brian gets into his portion. This is a request from the Common Council, so they are the applicant in this case. They did vote on their October 24th meeting to move this SIP amendment forward and back to Plan Commission. So this is coming forward to you at the request of council. It is the identical plans from your original March decision. There has been no new plan submitted. It is the same plan set that was used for review of this as was the March approval, where Plan Commission did vote to recommend approval of the SIP for Phase 1. Again, this is an SIP on Phase 1 only, and we are only reviewing it as that SIP amendment at the direction of council. We're not, looking again at the GDP or the base land use. That decision was made. We are reviewing this Phase 1 SIP amendment versus the already approved plan set.
Thank you. I'm accepting the staff report as part of the record, so please present your summary.
Thank you. So as Mark had mentioned, this is the exact same plan set that was reviewed and approved by Plan Commission back in March of this year. The plans are code compliant with the exception of one base standard modification that was requested for the apartment building height. They're shown at 52 feet, which exceeds the maximum of 35 feet for the neighborhood mixed use district. The height number was revised from the original SIP, which showed 59 feet, as planning staff looked further into the code and realized that building height is actually measured from the midpoint of the roof rather than the peak. However, again, there is no change to the actual building design. And staff is in support of the increased building height for the apartments due to the site's isolated location from other developments, the increased setbacks to over 1,000 feet from neighboring properties. Also, it is in good planning practice to offset increased building height with larger setback distances and centralized building placement, which we feel the applicant has done with this building placement. The landscaping plan does exceed code requirements. They're providing 150% of the code requirement for overall landscaping to improve the appearance of the site and mitigate impacts on the surrounding area. Also, the use of underground parking serves to reduce the footprint on the site, and the overall impervious surface ratio for this site is at 39%, which is well under the maximum of 50%. The building elevation shown here, they exceed the multifamily design standards by exceeding window area requirement by 36%, also utilizing a substantial proportion of Class 1 materials, and those enhancements improve the appearance of the property and also serve to mitigate the visual impact on the surrounding area. So staff feels that the increased setbacks, the increased landscaping, reduced impervious surfaces, and increased or enhanced materials serve to offset that increased building height to again, offset that the BSM for the increased height, which has not changed from the original request. So with that, staff recommends approval of the SIP with the findings and conditions listed in your staff report.
Thank you for your report. Plan Commission, are there any technical questions to staff? Any technical questions to staff? Okay, I'm seeing none. I will allow public comment on this agenda item, and I'm going to open the public comment period and ask for a statement from the applicant. Is the applicant here tonight?
We're the applicant as council's direction.
Okay. So we have no statement. At this time, I'll ask members of the public if they wish to comment. If you wish to comment, please approach the podium, state your name and address for our records. We are limiting you to 5 minutes. I would appreciate if you would line up to make this go as efficiently as possible. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Dan O'Callahan. I'm a land use and zoning attorney here working with the development team. As Mark mentioned, we're not the applicant. We're not applying for this request, but we're the owner of the property. We'll keep our comments to 5 minutes along with everyone else this evening, so we appreciate your consideration. Mark mentioned some of the procedural history here. I want to focus a little more on that because I think it's very important. A few things have happened since the Plan Commission saw this in March, so I just want to bring you up to speed on that. So when you saw this in March, you recommended approval of both the general development plan for the entire 522-unit multifamily development, which consisted of a number of 4-story buildings, as well as some 2-story townhomes that buffered the neighboring properties. So that was the general development plan, 522 units, 4-story buildings, and 2-story townhomes. You also recommended approval of the SIP for phase 1 of the development. That recommendation was taken to council. Council considered that. They heard concerns from a number of our neighbors, many of whom are here tonight. I'm sure you'll hear those same concerns expressed again. The council tabled their decision, requested another neighborhood meeting be held. That meeting was held before the council took it back up, and at the council meeting on April 11th, the council approved the general development plan as recommended by the Plan Commission, and then immediately took up the SIP for phase 1 of the development. And it was about a 40-minute discussion. The neighbors expressed their concerns, the council listened, and at the end of that 40-minute discussion, the council proposed an amendment to the SIP that would limit the development to 3 stories. And they asked the developer, who was represented by Jake Buswell, Jake is here tonight, they asked Jake to come up to the microphone and they put him on the spot and said, Jake, if we reduce this from 4 to 3 stories, does this project still work? And Jake did the best he could in answering that question. He said, honestly, I don't know. I haven't penciled that out. I don't know if it pencils out. I'd have to run the numbers. As you can imagine, it takes quite a while to put a project of this scale together. It takes months to work on a pro forma, reviewing the construction costs, working with a lender to get a budget approved. So Jake brought you a 4-story project, brought that to the council. You recommended approval, brought it to the council approved that general plan, and then got to the SIP for the first phase and limited it to 3 stories. So that was what was approved in April, the 3-story limitation. Jake did what he said he would do. He went back, he ran the numbers, he worked on it with his development partners for several months, ran and reran the numbers. The project is not feasible as a 3-story development project. It results in the loss of 102 of the 522 units if you take a 4th story off of each of those buildings. And it results in a budget that's got a gap of about $5 million. So yes, this is a financial concern, but it's a very basic one. The concern is that the project simply cannot move forward at 3 stories. It costs too much to construct. It loses money, right? So Jake asked city staff, if we requested tax increment financing, is that something the council would consider? City staff said, we can take that to council and ask the question. 1 minute, thank you. And so they did. And that went to the council on September 24th, I believe. And there was some discussion at the council level. And the council said, if we're going to consider this, we want to have a closed session. I'm going to speed it up here. They did that. October 12th, I think there was a closed session. Another open session, October 24th. So this has been considered by the council at a number of meetings prior to this coming to you. But at the meeting on October 24th, the council, Councilmember Bulow introduced a resolution that was ultimately adopted 6-1 by the council, proposing to restore the SIP approval to 4 stories, so there's no need for tax increment financing to make the project move forward. So that was the request the council sent to you, to consider this amendment to the approved SIP for the project. And for all of the same reasons for which you approved the project originally, we're asking you to make the same recommendation tonight back to council. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please state your name and address for our records, please.
Hello, my name is Stephen Cox. I'm an attorney at Holling and Kao. I represent Protect Our Wetlands, Inc., which is a group of Oshkosh citizens in the area that live adjacent to this development. I believe you have all received a letter that was sent by my office. Ted Warpinski sent that letter. I'll summarize it here today, but I think how we got here is important. It's being kicked back because the developer couldn't get tip assistance for this development. And frankly, with these high-end developments, they need to stand on their own. So when they went and penciled it out, it sounds like they have a shortfall, but ultimately, it's not the city's job to make sure that the development is profitable or that it can move forward. It's the city's job to ensure that the comprehensive plan is upheld and that the aesthetics of Oshkosh are continued, and we plan for sensible growth moving forward. And with that in mind, nothing has changed from the underlying decision back when it was made in April to when we're revisiting it here today. The Common Council saw fit, after hearing concerns from citizens of Oshkosh, to reduce the development height in phase 1 from 4 stories to 3 stories. And the reason they did that is because in a neighborhood mixed-use development, there are no other buildings that are more than 3 stories. It is a 3-story zone. And when you look at all the buildings in that corridor, everything is under 3 stories. So allowing this development to go in and bring it to 4 stories just because they want to make the profit on it isn't appropriate when you look at the comprehensive plan. And that's the reason the Common Council denied it in the first place. And now, faced with the fact that, yes, they ran the numbers and it isn't feasible the way they want to do it, it's back here. But those objections, although not articulated with actual dollar values, were articulated on the April 11th meeting in which that height restriction was imposed. So I say to you, nothing has changed with the Common Council's decision, and therefore the Planning Commission should accept that nothing has changed and deny the recommendation that the plan, the SIP, be amended to allow it back to 4 stories. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Please remember to state your name and address for our records.
Hi, Kathy Brewer, 2311 Shore Preserve Drive. I am a citizen of the city of Oshkosh, and thank you for allowing me to speak today. I want to address a couple of things. First of all, what the land zone attorney had indicated is that the developer had indicated that they can't make it work at 3 stories. That's because what they brought back to the city was 3 stories for all phases, not for phase 1. They indicate that and Councilmember Bulow requested to revisit the amendment because he indicated that there was new information. There wasn't new information other than the developer claimed they could not make 3 stories work, when in fact they can, because they have made that work for other projects, specifically including the one that was the model for this Red Earth project, the Abbey in Onalaska. I want to give a few details about the history. There's no NMU in the city that contains more than 3 stories, and most are 2 stories. There's no complex in the city that is larger than 300 units. The housing study that was used to justify the project actually illustrates that these expensive multi-unit complexes are not the greatest need. The housing study calls for only 679 rental units by 2030, with only 129 at this high market rate. Since that market study was developed, 528 in this high market segment have been built. And that does not even include this additional project. That's 400% more than we need. So we are getting into that oversaturation stage. I have heard used quite often that the developer and the Planning Services Department like to use a 2040 comprehensive plan in their justification of the density per acre for this project. However, zoning comprehensive plans and zoning ordinances perform differently, and I'm taking a direct quote from the comprehensive plan. A comprehensive plan is a guide to the physical, social, and economic development of a local government unit, and the enactment of a comprehensive plan by ordinance does not make the comprehensive plan by itself a regulation. Comprehensive plans provide a vision for 20 years, while zoning ordinances have an immediate impact on land use decisions. In order to rectify the difference, rezoning is completed on an ongoing basis in a manner consistent with the overall vision of the plan. The timing of rezoning is dependent on market forces, political climate, and the accuracy of the plan's predictions. While the comprehensive plan holds that the Plan Commission and City Council must continually ensure that any future zoning changes are consistent with the comprehensive plan, no formal zoning change request was made in this instance. Yet the Planning Services Department and the developer are updating their plans as if it was. In fact, the Planning Services Department, by their own admission and emails over 2 years ago, and in a notification to the developer, indicated that the current zoning does not allow apartments as a permitted use, only 3 to 4 units per building and a density of 10 units per acre. So in essence, a zoning change was bypassed. They're pushing through this as part of the PD, which by definition, a plan development overlay requires public input and a higher level of scrutiny. There was no public input prior to when this came to Plan Commission. If it had been open about this project from the start, there would have been more public engagement, more scrutiny to it. This could have helped address key issues before the Plan Commission's GDP review in March. As Oshkosh citizens, we must hold the city staff and elected officials accountable. This is crucial to the government and to our city. Even though the city has tried to rectify their error by now involving the community, it's insufficient and far too late. Trust has been eroded, and the perceived favoritism towards this developer and the lack of continued transparency are concerning. If the Plan Commission chooses to reverse the amendment made by Common Council, then I believe it is the duty of the Commission, the Council, and the City to revisit all of the plans, including the GDP. There was no, and I want to reiterate, there was no new information that causes the Plan Commission to reverse the amendment made by the City Council. The amendment was to Phase 1 to make it from 4 stories to 3. Thank you.
Thank you. Please remember to state your name and address for our records. Thank you.
I'm Dana Hartel, W141 Welch Road, Winneconne, Wisconsin. And I would like to put forward a little bit different information that I have.
Yes, can you speak? You move the mic.
I'd like to put forward a little different viewpoint because I may not be one who lives in the area, but I do drive by that area all the time. And I have a concern for the wetlands that are in the area. I understand that this Phase 1 is not on the footprint of the wetland. However, wetlands, let me just give you a little bit of information. The values are that they reduce flooding and they slow the flow of water. They provide clean water and recharge the water supply. They provide shoreline restoration and habitat for fish and other wildlife. They decrease sediment and provide recreational opportunity with open space. By putting in a development in an area like that, that could be a concern for that wetland area because it's now creating an area where there's potentially going to be a lot of light pollution. There's a lot of noise pollution. Just with all the additional activity, there's a disturbance in that area. And wetlands are known for providing half of our threatened and endangered species use those areas throughout the world. And by providing an area that could be a disturbance to that, that is a concern because the people benefit from wetlands, but also amphibians, reptiles, birds, mammals, and fish. Especially with Oshkosh area, we have a high fish area population that does like to fish. People like to hunt. People like to just be able to enjoy that recreational area. And if there's a development that's in that area, it can actually create disturbance to that wetland that could be detrimental. And I know Oshkosh does want to bring in people for all these different types of recreational things, but if we start having things that are disturbing that, that could be an issue. And I mentioned that wetlands help with against flood. If we all remember, back in 2008, the city was under a very high flood at that point, where there were so many areas in the city that were affected by the flood that it was an estimate that $29 million was had to be used because of flood damage throughout the city. That included the university, where almost every single building on that campus had some flood damage, including a building that was ultimately destroyed because of the flood. And wetlands are areas where we need to have, because they help to mitigate so that there won't be any flood damage. So economically, it's better to be able to protect that area rather than adding developments that could disturb those areas. Thank you.
Thank you. Please remember to state your name and address for our records. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Borgart, 2971 Sunset Point Lane, Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I would just like to correct a couple of things that were said. First of all, there was no public meeting held, no opportunity for our community to have any input whatsoever in this. It was a decision made that there would be no community notification when this first came to the planning committee. The only way we found out about it was when we saw the construction going on to put the sewer and utilities to that site. Then everybody was, what's going on over there? What is happening? That's when we found out. That's when we came to the planning committee. It went to the city council. They postponed it so that we could have a committee meeting, a town community meeting. So there was no going back to the community. There was no going to the community in the first place. Second, the city planner, or the city, I can't remember what his name is, but he did notify the developer that there could be, and possibly more than likely would be, a request to have a reduction in height, and that they should be prepared for it at the city council meeting. So for them to get up and come here and say that they were not aware that this was going to happen, so they were not able to prepare anything, is not true. They were able to prepare. He stated right in that meeting that he had told them that it would more than likely happen. So I just wanted to correct a couple of things. They did have the opportunity to come back and say, so there is no new information here. They knew from the get-go that they wouldn't be able to make this happen. And I'd just like to say that, you know, my 401k is underperforming, so my retirement is kind of not working out like I'd want it to. Is that a concern for you as well? I don't understand why them making this work financially is a concern for you. It doesn't make any sense. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item?
Thanks for allowing me to speak tonight. Jim Erdman, 2492 Hickory Lane. I also chair the town of Oshkosh, which is adjacent to this area. These folks that live out there, some of them are in the city, some of them are in the town. Couple things here. One, where this phase one is, that area, there's a house there, right near there now, present old farmhouse. The elevation on that property is 14 feet above the surrounding floodplain, wetland, cattail marsh, whatever you call it, which surrounds the red earth property, part of the red earth property on 3 sides. That's lake elevation there. So you're 14 feet above. Now, nothing's changed. You want to put these buildings up, they're going to be, whether you call it 52 or 59, the peak of the building will be 59 feet plus 14 feet. So what are you looking at? 73 feet above the surrounding area. You can't change that floodplain. You can't fill that in. 73 feet sticking up above in the middle of a wildlife area. It's just too tall. Good project, bad location. good project. Needs to be not there, in the middle of this, right at lake level here. The other thing is, the town of Oshkosh bought 3 acres recently this summer from DOT, bordering their property on the south. We did some work in there. I spent 2 days out there a month ago. I was really surprised, spending 2 days out there. Removed the dead and dying ash trees. Had permission because it's in the wetland areas there or whatever. Wow, the noise. That lane right across from where you want to do phase 1 is US 45 that off ramps comes up to the roundabout, whether you're either going to Oshkosh or whether you go north on 41. And every truck there's throttling down. It's a roar. And that's what you're going to have right by phase 1. I don't know if you're 100 feet from that most westerly lane of the interchange there, but go out there and spend some time out there once. Wow, for high-end apartments, and the taller you get, the more you're going to hear the noise. There is no place there to put a sound barrier wall for DOT. It drops off, going up that off-ramp there to that roundabout, it drops right off. So how are you going to stop the noise there? Not the noise from the apartments, the noise from the highway on affecting all that development. The other thing there is you're surrounded on 3 sides by floodplain water on your own property with cattail marshes. That's solid mosquitoes. Well, it's good project, just bad location. It's too tall. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other member of the public that wishes to speak at this time? Any other member of the public that wishes to speak on this agenda item at this time? Okay, I'm seeing none, so I'm going to close the public hearing and wait for the commission to ask a question. I'm sure there will be. Hold on. I'm going to close the public comment period. Commission, the action is upon you.
Is there a staff report? Motion to adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report. Is there one?
Can you speak into the mic, Kathy?
Kathy, speak to the mic, please.
Well,
Yes.
motion to adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there commission discussion on the motion? Ms. Prop.
I'm struggling with this once more. Originally, I voted no on this plan because I felt that it was too tall, or too large a development rising out of the end of that lake. And there've been some good points here, but it's a difficult site, as Mr. Erdman pointed out. And it's limited to where it is. And development will have to retain its own water, will it not?
Correct.
Mr. Lyons? However, I personally did not like the city council's decision to remove the 4th story and state that it could only be 3 stories high, because I think that's a developer decision. The developer wants what he or she wants and needs, and I didn't think that was appropriate. So I'm going to vote yes for this because I did not like that council action, and this is an opportunity to revisit that.
Okay, Plan Commission, any other discussion on this motion? Mr. Bowen?
Do we have an opportunity to?
Yes, you may.
Ask the applicant to come up.
The applicant's the city.
Owner.
Well,
The
sorry,
owner.
sorry, clarity.
The owner.
Owner.
Appreciate that. Either I or Jake are happy to answer your question.
I just wanted to ask to if you had anything to respond to any of the commentary.
We do. I'll be as brief as possible. There were a number of concerns that were raised. Yes, thank you. I'll be as brief as possible. There were a number of concerns that were raised tonight. We'd like to respond to those. First of all, there has been some new information presented to the council. That was the impetus for their motion, Councilmember Bulow's motion to bring this back. And that information is the financial feasibility of the overall project. Without the fourth story, the project is 102 units fewer. There's a $5 million gap in the budget, and it cannot move forward. So that's the reason why. It's not about padding the developer's bottom line. It's about whether, the question is, should this project happen or not? Will it happen or not? That's the difference between 3 and 4 stories. That's the new information. There was detailed financial information presented to city staff. City staff vetted that with their financial consultant. Their financial consultant validated those numbers. It was discussed with the Common Council. The Common Council itself proposed this amendment to restore the project to 4 stories. It was a 4-story project to begin with. That's what the Plan Commission reviewed. That's what the Plan Commission recommended approval of. That's what the council, in fact, recommended approval, or did approve, a general development plan for a 4-story project, and then inexplicably reduced the height from 4 to 3, which kills the project. And we didn't have the opportunity to prepare an analysis of that. Jake will tell you that he did get notice of that in advance of the council meeting on April 11th. He got notice of that from the city manager the day of. Hey, this might come up tonight, so you should be prepared for this. And Jake's like, oh my gosh, this takes months of work to put together these cost estimates, work with contractors, work with engineers, work with banks. You can't do that in an afternoon. So he didn't have an opportunity to fully analyze the impact of a reduction from 4 to 3 stories. The wetlands here are certainly a concern for everyone. It's a concern for the developer as well. The development project that's on the table is one that is limited to the area of the site that is currently tilled farmland. And as one of the council members noted at the discussion in public at the October 24th council meeting, farmland, the runoff from farmland, is one of the top polluters to our wetlands in this state. And this is an opportunity to convert this farmland with its runoff, with its agricultural runoff. And you heard the town chair, who was at the council meeting in April, talking about the hundreds of acres or thousands of acres of agricultural runoff that contribute to that watershed. Here's an opportunity to take the acreage that is closest to the water, take it out of tillable agricultural production with its runoff, contain the stormwater on site, install basins, engineered stormwater improvements that we believe will enhance the quality of the wetlands surrounding the development, all of which are being preserved, not harm them. You heard a testimony tonight about the housing report. We beg you to ask your professional planning staff if they agree with those comments that the city has already experienced too much housing development. I don't know anybody that would agree with that. In fact, one of the council members who spoke in support of bringing this back to the Plan Commission and then back to the council on October 24th said he had just been to an economic development conference recently, and the top issue at that conference in this state was economic development, followed closely by housing development. He said, I am supporting reconsideration of this. None of the council members said, I'm voting for this. They said, this deserves to be reconsidered, this amendment, this return to 4 stories. And he said, I'm voting for that because we need the housing. So I beg you to ask your professional planning staff for their input on the question of, do we need more housing in Oshkosh? So why is this, testimony about the neighbors? You shouldn't listen to the developer. They're just interested in the financial bottom line. Jake certainly is interested in the financial bottom line. He cannot undertake this project. He cannot build this housing if it will lose money out of the gate. Okay? And so that's the important reason why we're here tonight talking about a return to 4 stories. That was what was proposed initially. That's what you recommended approval of. And that's what we'd like you to approve again tonight, to stay with your same recommendation.
Mr. Bone, you have any further questions?
That was my question.
Okay. Any other discussion from the Plan Commission on this motion? Any other discussion? All right, I'm seeing none, so we will have a roll call vote, please.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I thought,
Oh, one more
but
discussion.
I guess I do want to make something clear. I do have a dual role here, as Plan Commission members know. I am a council member, and I feel it's my responsibility when I do make a determination, to listen to everyone that does want to contact me as one of the 7 council members. And so I'm going to be voting present on this issue tonight, out of respect for those people that still want to get a hold of me via email, text, phone, whatever you want to do. And I need to be objective here, so if I voted yes in favor of this evening, and someone else came to me with some information that I didn't like, then I'm voting no on it on the council. That gives mixed messages. If I vote no here tonight, then the developer comes up with something that I like, and then I'm voting yes on the council. So I'm going to stay out of that game. And when it comes to the council, I will vote. So out of respect for both sides, I will not vote on this issue this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other,
Yeah.
Mr. Kubali?
So we approve that first phase of the project, and we thought the second phase was more, would have a higher potential to impact the environment than that first phase, given this position remote from the water resources. But I suppose, you know, you have a plan for the overall thing. May the rest of the project not go? And would you leave with those in that first phase?
The entire project is not feasible with a limitation of 3 stories on the first phase, on all of the phases, or the first phase alone.
Yeah, but let's say the first storage is I mean, this is approved, but not the rest.
If the council were to, or excuse me, if the plan commission were to recommend approval of 4 stories for phase 1.
Yeah, and things stay at stage 1.
That's the only thing that's before you tonight. We're asking for your approval of that, and yes, we would proceed with the project.
Okay.
On that basis. And we would
not knowing if the rest would be approved or not. That's
no,
enough
we
for
don't. We don't have a submitted SIP application for future phases. We would have to do that. We will do that, and we would hope that this plan commission and the Common Council would be guided by the general development plan that has already been approved, which does indicate 4-story development. So we would hope the plan commission's decision would be consistent with that, and the council's decision as well.
Right, so this is only phase 1.
I understand that, yeah.
Okay, any other discussion on the motion? All right, I'm seeing none. Let's have a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Councilmember Esslinger?
Present.
Ms. Pratt?
Aye.
Ms. Shireman?
Aye.
Mr. Bowen?
Aye.
Mr. Kulabali?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
No.
Motion carried 6-1 and 1 present.
Thank you. We appreciate your consideration.
Thank you. Okay, last item, or second to last item.
If I could, real quick before everyone leaves. This will go to council December 12th, not next week, but December 12th.
Thank you. Let's finish the agenda tonight. I'll give 2 minutes so that people can leave before I call item number 6.
Good, then we'll be able to hear you.
Yeah, right. Katrina. Just. Okay, let's call item number 6, which is a public hearing, text amendment to the zoning ordinance related to the definition of a commercial message within the sign ordinance. Since this is not a site visit, there are no site visits. I will accept the staff report as part of the record. Please present your summary.
Thank you, Chairman. So yes, the City of Oshkosh Department of Community Development requests the review and approval of an amendment to the Oshkosh zoning ordinance related to the sign code. So in 2017, the city of Oshkosh adopted the new zoning ordinance, then it went into effect January 1st of 2017. Since the adoption of that ordinance, staff has noticed a number of code sections that need to be modified following further examination and discussion with the public and developers. At the beginning of 2023, a mural ordinance stakeholder group was formed for members of the prior Public Arts and Beautification Committee to review the current mural ordinance. And through that group, they recommended some changes. Throughout the year, that stakeholder group and city staff worked together to update and revise the mural ordinance. The outcome of those recommended changes resulted in planning staff and the city attorney's office feeling that the definition of commercial messaging also needed to be updated so the two ordinances did not conflict with each other. Specifically, if you look up on the screen, you'll see what the current definition is and what the proposed revision is. Ultimately, we were recommending a removal of the words "or other representation" that directly or indirectly, and the word "idea" out of it. So just tightening up the ordinance a little bit so it's not so broad. It's more specific to a business name, logo, or specific activity of that business.
Yeah. So we work closely with the stakeholder group and the city attorney's office to make sure that this language update was consistent. This was kind of the recommended language between planning staff and the city attorney's office to make sure that those ordinances had no conflicts. If approved, this would actually move forward with the mural ordinance to council. Council would see both the mural ordinance, which does not sit within the zoning ordinance, it's in chapter 8 instead of chapter 30. And then both these would move together to make sure that they were consistent if they were approved by council.
Ultimately, the commercial messaging is referenced within the mural ordinance. So we need to get this updated because currently murals were getting denied for having images that were indirectly associated to the business within the building. But they weren't the logos, they weren't the trademarks. They were just, general images that were indirectly associated to the business activity that was occurring inside. So tightening this up a little bit allows more flexibility for the mural ordinance.
All right. Thank you for your summary.
Yep.
Are there any technical questions on this from Ms. Shireman?
So I understand the tightening up of the language to make it be the same, but I gotta go on record saying I don't understand. Is there an example that you can give
Yeah.
of the language within a mural? Like,
So what this does is it essentially allows, for right now, if you were a bake shop and you wanted to put a mural on the side of your building that included bread and muffins, the current definition would say that is commercial message, therefore is not allowed.
got it.
By removal of some of this language
Yep.
from the definition of commercial message, you can now do that. You can artistically, through a mural, put something on your building that you may happen to sell inside.
Got it.
You're not advertising it, you're doing it through an expression of art.
Makes
This change allows that to happen.
Thank you.
Something that is a logo or a trademark or, the physical words of that business would be considered a sign.
Yeah. Something not found in this, but found in the updated mural ordinance, is the ability to incorporate your sign allotment. So say you get 100 square feet of signage by code into a mural. So if you wanted a section of your mural that's mural, I just can't talk today, specifically was your advertisement, you can do that in the new mural code. The old one you couldn't. The old one, you were a mural or you were a sign. This new one allows you to blend those. There's certain portions that this would allow that don't count toward your signage, but then you can incorporate your actually allowed sign area right into your mural if you want your business name and specific messaging.
Got it. Thank you.
Any other technical questions for staff?
Did we answer it for you?
Meredith took mine. I think we need to go on the record as saying we support bread and muffins.
Yeah, it was a good example.
That was, looking for examples, that one was spot on, and I'm hungry.
Okay, so no more technical questions for staff. This is a public hearing, so I'm going to open the public hearing and ask if any member of the public would like to speak to this item. Any member of the public like to speak to this item? Seeing none, I'm closing the public hearing. We don't need a closing statement from the applicant, so Planning Commission, the action is upon you.
move to adopt finding and recommendation as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? I'm seeing none, so let's have a roll call vote, please.
Ms. Davy?
Aye.
Councilmember Esslinger?
Aye.
Ms. Pra?
Aye.
Ms. Shireman?
Aye.
Mr. Bowen?
Aye.
Mr. Kulabali?
Aye.
Vice Chair Kiefer?
Aye.
Chairman Perry?
Aye.
Motion carried 8-0.
Great, thank you. Last item on the agenda is adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? We can have a voice vote.
Survived.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you.